Hi sweet friends, welcome back to Mary's Nest. Today we're making a wonderful tallow balm, a great DIY, do-it-yourself, homemade moisturizer scented with fragrant essential oils that'll soften your skin beautifully and make you smell heavenly. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you like learning about how to cook from scratch and how to live naturally, making your own homemade products like this tallow balm, I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. And if you do, be sure to click on the little notification bell that'll let you know each time I upload a new video. The ingredients for this are so simple. All you need is some tallow, a little bit of oil, I have olive oil here, and if you want, some essential oils. I'm just going to go over the steps quickly and then I'm going to bring you in closer so you can see exactly what I'm going to do. But basically, all we're going to do is take this beef tallow, put it into this stainless steel bowl. I'm going to put this over some simmering water on the stove on another pot, making like a little makeshift double boiler. Let the beef tallow melt down. Then I'm going to remove it from the stove, let it cool just a bit, and then I'm going to add my olive oil, and then I'm going to add my essential oil, and then I'm going to let it cool for about an hour, and then I'm going to whip it to make it a nice whipped, almost like a whipped body butter. Now I just want to take a minute to mention something about this beef tallow. If you make beef bone broth like I do, you often will have the fat will rise to the top once you cool it, and you can skim that off. But I wouldn't recommend using that to make this balm, and the reason is that's usually got a little more moisture in it, and from being cooked in the bone broth and so on and so forth. And even if you strain out all the bits and this, that, and the other thing, it cannot last as long as if you just use tallow that's been rendered from beef fat. And what I do is when I make bone broth, I take some of the fat from the various bones that I'm using that have meat on them, like the shanks. I take some of that fat and I render that. And the way that I do that is just by putting it in the oven. I let it melt, and then just let it cool a little bit. Then I strain it to get out all the little cracklings, and then I chill that, and that's what I use. That way it's not been used in making bone broth. Now when it comes to adding some oil in, the reason that we do that is to just help make it a little more spreadable, because tallow naturally is very hard even at room temperature. And so the oil helps soften a little bit to make it easier to use as a cream. I like to use olive oil, and generally what you'll do is take a half a cup of the beef tallow, and this is an estimate. This is not an exact science. You know, it's hard when you cut it up at room temperature, and I just kind of put some in a cup and I eyeball it to say, well, when it's melted, it'll probably be about a half a cup. And then you take 2 tablespoons of the oil of your choice. Now, I only have 1 tablespoon of olive oil in this, and the reason is I want to talk to you about some other oils that you can add depending on how you want to use the cream or the balm once we're done with it. So I'm just going to start adding in 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and then I'm going to show you the different oils that I like to add depending on how I use it. Finally is the essential oils. Now you can just stop right here at this step, but beef tallow, unless you're familiar with it, but just in case, if you are, you'll know it has a little bit of an aroma to it. And if you're not, you'll find that it does have a little kind of beefy smell. I don't know how exactly to describe it, but the nice thing is if you add some essential oils, you won't notice it at all. So I like to do that. And in the case of what I'm going to make today, I've got frankincense oil. I'm going to add that, and I've got a few other essential oils over there that I'll talk to you about once we get to that point. And again, you know, it depends what you're going to use it for, and also how much essential oil you use depends what you're going to use it for. If you're going to use it on your face, you want to go a little lighter on the essential oils. If you're going to use it on your body, you can add a little more essential oil. And again, whatever you add, if you've never made it before and it's your first time trying it, you'll just want to do a little patch test to make sure that it agrees with you. Well, I've got the water up to a simmer that I put in a pot that's right here on the stove, and all I'm going to do is put this stainless steel bowl on top, and then I'm just going to dump the beef tallow right in. Now, you do not need to do this. You can also just put this in a pot and melt the beef tallow like that. The only reason I do this really is I'm kind of just skipping a step for myself because I'm going to let it cool in here and add the other ingredients and then use the electric beater in here. And this way I have less pots to clean. But if you want, you can certainly just melt it in a little pot on the stove too, and then transfer it to a bowl in which you then proceed with the rest of the steps. Alrighty, well, I'm just going to keep melting this, and then the next step will be we'll add the olive oil. Well, the tallow is all melted now, and it's cooled just slightly, and I'm going to add in my 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and this is an extra virgin olive oil. Since we are putting it on our skin, I want to use the best quality olive oil that I can get. So I'm just going to stir that in, and next I'm going to talk to you about some other options for additional oils to add in place of the 2nd tablespoon of olive oil. So as I mentioned, I've got the 1 tablespoon of olive oil in there added to this beef tallow. Now sometimes I'll just go ahead and add that 2nd tablespoon of olive oil. It's especially nice if I'm making the tallow balm for body moisturizer. However, if I'm going to use it on my face, I like to add some different oils than just the olive oil. Now tallow is wonderful just by itself for your skin. It's high in vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K, and it's also a saturated fat. And so it's similar, I believe, to the cells in our bodies that really kind of crave the saturated fat to stay nice and healthy. But if I'm going to put it on my face, I sometimes like to add a little rosehip oil and or a little argan oil. I think that's how you say it, and or a little castor oil. And sometimes what I'll do is just a teaspoon of each of these. And the reason is each one has sort of different properties. Rosehip oil can be very good at helping tame, I don't know if that's the right word, fine lines and so on and so forth. I'm getting a little more than just fine lines. I'm in my 60s, so I need all the help I can get. So I like to maybe sometimes put in a teaspoon of this, and then the argan oil is very moisturizing. This is also really good for your hair too, and it moisturizes your hair and your face. And the castor oil is very thick, but it's also very moisturizing. And I especially like this for a little crow's feet, even just blotted on in its regular state of being very thick. But it's nice to add to a product like this that you're making, a balm that has the olive oil in it and some other oils, because it helps thin it out. So that's the mixture that I like to do. For my 2nd tablespoon of oil, I just break it up with a teaspoon, approximately a teaspoon of each of these, the castor oil, the argan oil, and the rosehip oil. And then I'll use that on my face. And in addition to this, the next step are the essential oils. So I've added in my other 3 oils, a teaspoon of each, 1 of the rosehip oil, 1 of the castor oil, and 1 of the argan oil. So now I've got my base oils here, my base for the tallow balm. Next is deciding on what essential oils we're going to use. Now, before we proceed, I just want to mention something. What I'm making here is what I use as an adult. I don't know anything about using this on a child. I'd never used anything like this on my son, and I think potentially he might have run if I tried to. But he loved his bone broth, but I don't know about rubbing tallow balm on him. He was all boy. And if it had a scent, we would have really been in trouble there. But in any event, so I don't know anything about making this and or how it would be for a child. But I know there are websites out there where people do make different types of tallow balms for diaper rash and things like that. And I'll look for those, and I'll put links to their websites in the description below if you're interested in making this to use, you know, for children. It's just I don't really know about that, and I don't know how essential oils would interact with them and whatnot. I would think you would have to be careful. So I'll link to some of the those nice, what they call mommy blogs, who are very knowledgeable about that. Alrighty, well, now this mixture I'm making to use on my face, and what I like to do is put a mixture of, that's lavender, let me see, the frankincense oil and the holy basil oil. And the reason is these are just terrific essential oils. They smell wonderful, but they also serve good purposes for helping diminish wrinkles. So that's why I put the two of them in. And for a face cream preparation, I like to put about 25 drops of essential oil total. So I'll kind of divide that up between the two of these equally, best that I can. You know, again, it's not an exact science, but I'll put about a total of 25 drops of the frankincense and holy basil combined. Now, if I'm going to use this, say, as a foot cream, and oh my gosh, it's fantastic as a foot cream. If you have dry heels like I get, this works great. Lather it on the balm right after you get out of the shower, and put some socks on, go to bed. Your feet will just look brand new in the morning. It's wonderful. And if I do that, then I don't add those other oils. I just do the half a cup of melted tallow and 2 tablespoons of the olive oil. And then you could also probably use coconut oil, although coconut oil is a little, I know some people like that too for a foot cream. That's a little more solid at room temperature. So you still might want to add in a little olive oil or a sesame oil or an avocado oil, something that's more liquidy at room temperature to help make it more spreadable. But if I do make a foot cream, I love to add peppermint oil. And now for things that you put on the body, and again, you know, patch test all of this because everybody reacts differently to creams and essential oils and so on and so forth. But for something that I put on my feet, to this mixture, the half cup of melted tallow along with the 2 tablespoons of whatever oil I use, I love to add peppermint. And I'll add about 50 drops of it to make it really nice and pepperminty, and it's just wonderful. I'll also sometimes add in, I think this is the lavender. I might do, you know, 50-50, 25 lavender, 25 peppermint, and that's terrific too. And it helps you sleep. Lavender is associated with sleep, so that's a good thing. The other one, oh, this is a bergamot. It's very orangey. It's in the orange family. And I love the smell of this. I like it even more than the regular orange. Yeah, it's nice. It's like a little spicy orange, if that makes sense. I love bergamot tea. And this is great if you're making a body cream. It can just be heavenly. I heard one lady on YouTube describe, I think she was using orange oil, and she said she felt she smelled like a little orange cake. That's a good thing though in my book. I love citrus. And so yeah, either the direct orange oil or the bergamot if you want something that's orangey but almost like with little spicy overnotes or undernotes, whatever people say, with fragrance. And then lemon is wonderful if you want to make just a little pot of this to keep by your kitchen sink. I love any kind of lemon. I love lemon everything, but lemon hand cream is very nice in the kitchen. It really helps to get rid of, you know, some cooking odors or food odors that you might have on your hands. Now, all of that said, people often ask, does it feel greasy? And I know some people say no, it doesn't. Other people say yes, it does. I wouldn't say that it's greasy, but you definitely feel like you've put some cream on your hands. And what you can do, and you only need a tiny little bit. This is going to last, especially if you've used the beef tallow that you've rendered from the fat and not the beef tallow that's on top of the bone broth. This is going to last for a year, and I'm telling you, about a half a cup is going to last you a year because you use just a tiny bit, and you're going to be amazed. The warmth of your skin will quickly melt it, and then you rub it in, and you literally just a tiny, smaller than the pinky nail, just a little tiny bit, and you're going to see it's going to melt with the warmth of your hands, and you're going to rub it in, and it's going to be beautiful. And then what you can do is take a little towel, or, a little face cloth or something, and just, wipe your hands if you feel that they feel a little greasy. The other thing that I wanted to mention was when using this as a face cream, or a body cream for that matter, what I like to do, and this actually kind of applies to the lemon one that I like to make for the kitchen, I like my skin to be a little damp when I go to apply it. First of all, just sealing in the water, the moisture, helps with giving your skin that nice, refreshed, dewy look. But it also makes it easier to apply. So if you are getting out of the shower, put it on right away while your skin is nice and warm and a little damp. It'll spread beautifully. And in the morning, what I like to do is just take a face cloth and wring it out in some really nice warm water, put that over my face, and then apply the tallow balm right away. And the moisture, the water, and the warmth, and then the balm, it just moisturizes beautifully, and it really sinks into at least my 60-something-year-old skin really drinks it in. So I just wanted to give you all that information, about using it. Well, I'm going to go ahead now and put my essential oils, the two that I've chosen for this face cream, the frankincense and the holy basil. I'm going to go ahead and put this into my melted tallow balm that is, or my melted tallow that's mixed now with the various oils that I shared with you before. And I'm going to let this cool for about an hour, and then I'll bring you back and I'll show you the next step that I like to do using the electric beater to make this really fluffy, almost like cake icing, and then it's really quite delightful to use. Now, if you don't feel like taking that step, don't worry. You can just decant it the way it is, and it will just be a little firmer to the touch when you go to take it out, more like a solid cream, but definitely one that you can, get your finger into to apply to yourself. But taking the extra step to whip it makes it really quite luscious. Well, I've let this cool about an hour, and as you can see, it's definitely taken on more of a solid texture. Now, if you want, at this point, you can scoop it out, put it in a jar, and you're all set. It's got, as you see, it has, let me see if I can see, I can put my finger in it quite easily and just spread it on like that. But it's kind of fun to take the electric beater and whip it and make it look, like a whipped cream or a frosting. And then it really takes on that look of being a body butter or just a nice facial cream. So it works both ways. Now, something I want to mention. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, for heaven's sakes, I'm not getting fat and rendering it and making tallow and this, that, and the other thing, don't worry. You can buy tallow already melted down and all cleaned up, and it'll look just like what I had in the measuring cup. And you can just go from there. And I'll put down in the description below, underneath the video, I'll put some links to sources where you can find beef tallow to buy. So don't worry about that. If I started thinking in making this video, going back to the beginning, and I was saying maybe people don't want to go through all that process of rendering their own tallow. So, but you can buy it, so that's a good thing. Alrighty, so as you can see, so it's soft. You can definitely just put it in a jar just the way it is, and I often do this, but for this video I just wanted to take the extra step to show you what it looks like once we take the electric beater to it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how it looks up close. Well, I've been whipping this with the electric hand mixer for a few minutes, and as you can see, it's beautifully creamy. And I wanted to mention that when I had said earlier that I let this cool for a little bit, I did so in the refrigerator, because when you go to whip it, it whips up much better if it's chilled. Well, I think that looks perfect. Well, I've whipped up this beef tallow balm and it is just looking gorgeous. Look at this consistency, literally like just a beautiful whipped cream. And it makes a wonderful cream now to apply to your face or to your body. It's so easy to put it on like this. And it actually feels lighter and a little less heavy than when it's just in its original state that I showed you. So I think this is a nice extra step to take. I absolutely love it. So now we're all ready to decant the cream. And what I like to do is just put it in a little mason jar. This is just a 4-ounce jelly jar, or put it in a little larger jar like this that has the dark glass, which is nice because this can help really protect the essential oils. Although I usually keep this in some type of cabinet so it's kept in a dark place, just to help with maintaining those essential oils. But look at how lovely this is. It's just delightful. And I'm just going to put some in here. And because it's been whipped, you know, and we did start with about a half a cup of the melted tallow, that I am going to have to divide this between a couple of jars. I think I might put the remainder in this dark jar, but I just wanted to decant it a little bit so you could see what it'll look like. So that's it. I'm trying to keep that spoon from falling in. It's beautiful. And you just put this lid on, and there you go. You've got your wonderful tallow balm. And it's just so versatile. You can do so many things with it. You can, as I mentioned, the essential oils that I put in it, make it for myself a nice face cream. You can use it as a body cream. It feels so good, and it smells heavenly. Those essential oils really make the difference. A foot cream. So many different things, maybe just a little gently around the eyes if you don't have any maybe essential oils in it. There's just a lot of things that you can do with it, and I absolutely love it. Be sure to check the description below where I'll put a link with directions on how to make this tallow balm. And if you like this video, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And be sure to subscribe to my channel too. Well, that's all for today, but I want to thank you so much for joining me here, and I look forward to having you join me again right here in my Texas Hill Country kitchen. Love and God bless. Before you go, if you enjoyed making this tallow balm, I think you'll also enjoy these videos as well. And be sure to subscribe to my channel and click on the notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, that's all for today. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.